Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
I'm Brett Neese, live in Biltmore Village in Asheville, where the destruction is widespread from the impacts of Helene. Coming up, we talk to residents and get a glimpse at the work, the extensive work that is ahead of them.
And here in the Life Center, we're tracking power outages. More than 400,000 people across the state without power, when Duke Energy says they plan to have the lights back on for the majority of its customers.
And we don't need any more rain, but we have some showing up across our area on Dual Doppler 5000 radar. I'll show you what to expect for the rest of the afternoon.
New at noon, 107 people have been confirmed killed by Helene across several states. In an update at 10 a.m., Buncombe County officials say now they have 35 confirmed deaths related to that storm. Officials do not have an exact number of how many people are still missing. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. This is new video showing flooded streets and damaged roads in Asheville. We have team coverage for you this hour, starting with Brett Neese. He joins us live from Biltmore Village. And Brett, the extent of this damage, catastrophic, is an understatement.
Hey, Renee, it really is. I mean, this barrel here behind me, that's not supposed to be there. It shows you the destruction that this flood had, wedging that barrel between the tree and those buildings right there. Destruction here in Biltmore Village is widespread, and it's overwhelming. Randall Gary is digging the place he has worked at for 25 years out of the mud.
I'm just trying to get some things done. You know, I'm a little bit in shock, maybe, like most people.
New Morning Gallery has been here in Asheville for 50 years. The damage inside the store is devastating.
I don't even know what to say. It's bad.
The gallery suffering the same fate as so many other buildings throughout Biltmore Village. This is a shuttle bus used by the All Souls Cathedral, a church that has been able to withstand flooding time and time again. But some residents fear it may have finally met its match. The Swannanoa River has receded, but not before swallowing up multiple cars and trucks.
It's been crazy. Supplies are scarce. It's been pretty emotional.
As those who live here begin a new week, the search for basic needs continues. There's little food or water, and power won't be restored for days, maybe even weeks. Some people trying desperately to find a gas station that isn't out of fuel.
The inability to contact your loved ones and kind of the uncertainty of knowing when we'll be able to get out even, or just, you know, be able to have the option to go anywhere or to contact anyone has been really tough.
This is what Western North Carolina now looks like, and it will be weeks before those who live here can return to any kind of normalcy. And I've been speaking with residents all morning long. They tell me that the severity of this situation, how bad the destruction is, cannot be overstated. They are just hopeful that the supplies, some of the food and different help that is on its way here to this part of the state will provide some sort of relief. Renee?
And Brett, we know Helene drenched that area with more than 15 inches of rain. How high did the water get there in Biltmore Village?
From some residents, they tell me as high as 15 feet. I want to show you how high that is here along this particular building right here. They have all this plastic and sandbags that they were trying to protect this building. That water got so high that it toppled it and got inside.
And that was the rain plus the Swannanoa River nearby flooding that area. Brett Neese showing us the damage at Biltmore Village. Thank you.
New at noon, Buncombe County officials held a briefing 2 hours ago, and they say the number of deaths associated with the storm has risen to 35 in that county alone. WRAL's Noah Klein is here with some of the new help that is coming to that county. Noah.
Jeff, Buncombe County will begin distributing food and water at 2 this afternoon. Officials haven't confirmed exactly where those sites will be just yet. They were set to release that information at noon. We'll let you know when we know. They'll give a day's worth of food and water for every person who comes. That's until they run out of supplies. The county pointed out right now they understand that some people won't be able to get to those distribution centers. They are working on a mobile unit to go to people who can't get there. Shelters are at capacity. They're trying to set up another one for people who need it. Officials say they've been frustrated with how long it took just to get water and supplies from the state.
We've been asking, we've been requesting, we've been following protocol, since this storm began, and to this morning at 2:30 a.m. was the first delivery of water to our community.
The county is set to give another update on the situation there this afternoon. We'll let you know any new information that comes out of that on our evening news. Governor Roy Cooper and FEMA officials will be on the ground this afternoon. My colleague WRAL's Eric Miller will bring questions about the state and federal response to them.
All right, thanks, Noah. Those crews have been working around the clock as well to restore power to some very hard to reach areas in the mountains. Michelle McConaughey is in the WRAL Live Center with an update on those outages. Michelle.
Yeah, Jeff, the outages are still pretty substantial. I showed you this image before. 461,000 people without power. Of course, a majority of the outages in the western part of our state. They break it down. ReadyNC.gov breaks it down county by county. Buncombe County seeing the most outages right now, more than 97,000 people, followed by Henderson County, more than 62,000 people. Burke and Rutherford counties also seeing more than 32,000 people without power. ReadyNC.gov is a very useful tool if you have access to it, because there are many things you can look at: road conditions, current weather conditions, evacuation orders, shelters, disaster assistance. Those shelters very important for people who need it in the western part of our state. As far as when we can expect to have some power back on, this is the message on Duke Energy right now, one of the many power companies in the area. They say that the Carolina, we can expect to have power restored to the majority of customers no later than Friday evening, with the exception of areas that are inaccessible or unable to receive service. And we know a lot of the counties out west are unable to receive services right now, so it could be quite some time before they see the power turn back on.
Michelle, thanks. President Joe Biden gave an update on the federal Helene recovery efforts. Biden granted North Carolina's request for a federal major disaster declaration. That means FEMA can send much needed money to residents and businesses in parts of our state. He made a promise to the country that work and aid would continue as long as they are needed.
I want them to know we're not leaving until the job is done. I also want you to know I'm committed to traveling to the impacted areas as soon as possible, but I've been told that it would be disruptive if I did it right now. We will not do that at the risk of diverting or delaying any of the response assets needed to deal with this crisis.
And President Biden made calls to several state and local government officials last night, including Governor Roy Cooper.
2 North Carolina deputies were killed in raging floodwaters. The Macon County Sheriff's Office says one of the courthouse security officers, Jim Lau, was recovered from the Palisades River Saturday morning. The Sheriff's Office posted on Facebook about Lau's death. They said, in part, Jim was very liked and respected within our department. He was known to be a hard worker, dependable, and he jumped in wherever help was needed. His absence will truly be felt in our agency. Sheriff's Office Association says a deputy from the Madison County Sheriff's Office was also killed in floodwaters. That deputy has not been identified yet.
There are still hundreds of Helene-related road issues in the North Carolina mountains. This video from the State Division of Aviation shows some of the damage roads have from washouts due to flooding. NCDOT says all travel in the western part of our state should be for emergencies only. I-40 remains impassable in several locations, but new this hour, I-26 is now fully open, and Buncombe County officials are encouraging organizations to use that route to bring water and supplies to hard-hit areas.
North Carolina National Guard has activated more than 500 soldiers and airmen to western North Carolina. They've also deployed more than 200 vehicles and aircraft, including hoist and emergency aviation assets and high water response vehicles. Assistance is also coming from other states, including Connecticut, Maryland, Ohio, Iowa, Florida, South Carolina, and Pennsylvania.
Count on WRAL to bring you important coverage of the emergency situation in the North Carolina mountains. WRAL's Brett Neese and Eric Miller will bring us reports of recovery efforts throughout the week.
About an hour ago, another system strengthened in the tropics. Tropical Storm Kirk formed when the National Hurricane Center issued its advisory at 11 a.m. WRAL's Elizabeth Gardner is tracking that system. Joins us live now from the WRAL Severe Weather Center with the forecast track.
Yeah, we're going to start off here with a look at what's happening on radar. And we did have some rain that developed this morning, and it's going to continue to develop and be with us for much of the afternoon. Some of these pockets are going to be on the heavy side. We had this rain just move out of Wilson County, moving out of Edgecombe County as well, brought a little bit of heavy rain to downtown Wilson. And then we have more that's back to the west, and you can see Siler City seeing some of that heavy rain. Haven't seen a lot of lightning with this, but we are seeing just some pockets of some heavy rain, and that will continue on through the afternoon. Here's a look at Futurecast, and you can see Futurecast showing the showers and thunderstorms, at least showers moving across the area, likely to be with us through the evening commute. That's 3 o'clock. We'll pause it there at 5 o'clock. The I-85, I-95, and I-40 corridors all likely to be seeing at least some rain during that time. And then it moves eastward, and we may even see a little bit of clearing overnight. If we do, we'll likely wake up to some fog tomorrow morning. So 50% chance through the evening commute, and then it just holds at 40 overnight tonight as we continue to see that chance of rain. And we may see that again tomorrow. We're going to take a closer look at that coming up in just a little while. Let's talk about what could be brewing down here in the Gulf of Mexico. This is the same area where we saw Helene develop, of course, over a week ago. And this is a place where we could see more development. It's only a 40% chance of developing, but some of our larger computer models are starting to pick up on this. And so this is going to be for Friday. So we push it ahead. Today's Monday. We look ahead to Friday, and we start to see a little bit of development potentially happening down here near the Bay of Campeche, and then possibly lifting up north toward the Gulf of Mexico as we get into the following weekend. So, this is going to be more than a week away or so. So we'll continue to keep our eye on that and let you know how that is developing as we get closer to the next weekend.
Elizabeth, thanks. In Rocky Mount, people are working to clean up the damage after a powerful EF3 tornado brought on by Helene. 15 people were hurt, 4 seriously. A state of emergency remains in effect today. WRAL's Destiny Patterson is live in Rocky Mount this noon. Destiny.
Well, just in the last hour, we learned that the 4 people who were in critical condition have been released from the hospital. That's the latest update from emergency officials. I mean, that tornado came through this area just within the last couple of days, and you can see that the damage here is still very great. I mean, there's still debris here that's on the ground throughout the area, and this stretch of Tiffany Boulevard is still blocked off. This is actually a different vantage point from where we were the day of the storm itself. I mean, if you look across the street here, you can see all of those barricades up. You can see the Rocky Mount Police Unit. They have this area completely blocked off, and they told me that they're not letting anyone in or out of this stretch or into the shopping center that was hit very hard because of the danger inside. I talked to a business owner who had plans today to go in and survey that damage and now won't be able to do that because of that. I mean, take a look at this building here. The day of the storm, the windows were completely blown out, and now they've boarded some of that up. It does appear that they are starting to make at least some progress in that regard. Just across the street here, too, what was a brick building, you can see it looked like it was an explosion of sorts because of the way that those bricks have flown across the area. We've got an update from that business, and they say that there won't be any interruption to business or any interruption to services, because people can go to Wilson to get that assistance that they need. So we're going to continue to stay out here, continue to talk to people about their rebuilding process, and we'll keep you updated on what we learned here today. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, Rocky Mount.
Next at noon, video from the mountains gives new perspective to the flood devastation in Boone. The cutoff points for fuel and water as roads turned into rivers.
Also, as people begin to return to places like Madison County, just north of Asheville, the mark Helene left in their area.
Plus, help is on the way. The truckloads of much-needed relief on the way from here in the Triangle.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
In the aftermath of Helene, millions are still without power across the Southeast. Communities are dealing with lack of water, fuel, and food.
We've seen that certainly in western North Carolina. And you see this video here. Cities and towns have just been cut off, isolated from supplies and help coming in from these floodwaters. Jay Gray reports from Boone.
Hey there, we want to give you a first-hand look at the situation here in Boone, which, like so many communities in the path of Helene, is caked in mud right now. They've got down power lines, more than 2 million from Florida into the Carolinas without power, and then just scattered piles of splintered wood, shattered glass, twisted metal. This debris really stretching across the entire region right now. And the Southeast is struggling, especially the Carolinas. We know that there are many communities in the Blue Ridge Mountains here that are cut off. The water has cut them off, and so getting supplies in, getting the necessities they need is very difficult at this time. You're seeing communities that are without power again, but also without fuel or running very low, and food is getting scarce as well. Now, there are teams working their way and trying to get in, but to this point, that's been a real struggle. Getting that power back is going to be very important for so many. That's how you really begin to recover and start some type of process of trying to get back to where they were before this storm. But that's going to take quite some time. In fact, in some areas, not days, but a week or more before the power might be restored. We know now the storm is responsible for more than 80 deaths, and a third of those have been here in the Carolinas. There's still more than 100 people missing as well, and teams are working both on the water and in the air to try and locate those that are missing. It is simply going to be a long haul for a lot of people, again, through the entire Southeast. And here, the forecast not doing them any favors. They could see more rain over the next few days. I'm Jay Gray in Boone, North Carolina. Now back to you.
Both presidential candidates spoke about the destruction from Helene in western North Carolina. Vice President Kamala Harris offered her condolences during a rally in Las Vegas.
Stand with these communities for as long as it takes to make sure that they are able to recover and rebuild.
Former President Donald Trump also gave his condolences during a rally yesterday in Erie, Pennsylvania.
In particular, western North Carolina took a tremendous hit. It's been absolutely devastated, and God be with you all.
Both the Trump and Harris campaigns have made stops in western North Carolina communities leading up to the election. They certainly visited North Carolina at least once a week, or their surrogates. The road to the White House goes through North Carolina. We'll let you know if they make any more stops here in the coming weeks till November.
I'm trying to get some help on the roads from the Triangle and everywhere else possible to get it to the mountain areas there. And you just heard Jay Gray say more rain could be on the way. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with that low we're facing right now.
Yeah, so this low is actually the remnants of Helene. It was sitting over parts of Tennessee and Kentucky over the weekend, and it really almost dissipated. It's still just barely holding together. But we do have a front out ahead of it, and that's what's been sparking some of the showers. And some of those have been a little heavy from time to time this morning, and just continued since early this morning around 4 a.m. or so. We had some showers move through Wilson and Edgecombe counties, and that's moving off to the east. But another round coming through, moving through the western part of Chatham County and on up through Durham and Orange counties as well. So we're going to continue to see that. It's interesting. I pulled up a picture of Wilson, and even though that rain just moved through there, boy, they dried out really quickly. Sadler City seeing some of the heavier rain right now. That'll move up through Pittsboro, Chapel Hill, Durham, and of course Wake County likely to see that too, as long as it holds together. And these have been holding together pretty well. As a matter of fact, this is a look at those showers as they move eastward over the next few hours, right through Raleigh and over toward Goldsboro and Rocky Mount, and some pockets where it is likely to be heavy at times. And of course, we don't need any more rain. We are looking at so far the wettest that we've seen so far this year. Flood risk has changed a little bit since earlier this morning. We're looking at a low risk for flooding across the entire viewing area now, and we do have the medium risk for flooding up in our northeastern counties. So just be careful out there. Places that tend to flood fairly easily during rain could flood because our ground is so saturated. You know, we saw a lot of rain Thursday and into Friday, and we've had so much rain over the last few months. So it doesn't take as much, as it might in another situation. Here's a live look at downtown Raleigh, the Legislative Building. We're looking at gray skies right now. There might be a few peaks of sunshine on and off, but looks like it's going to be a pretty cloudy afternoon for us. 76 the temperature, 2.71. 71 measure of moisture in the atmosphere is high. It feels very tropical outside. And in some places, temperatures will climb up to around 80 for highs. Looking at 81 in Raleigh, 80 in Durham. and around 87 in Fayetteville. The tropical feel sticks around today and tomorrow. And tomorrow we'll have another chance for some of these scattered showers. And that continues tonight and into tomorrow. And then we see a little drop in our humidity, but I mean, it's just a little drop. We're not going to get down toward comfy or refreshing anytime soon, which is kind of where we should be this time of year. We're about to start October. And you look at how much of the country is seeing the yellow and orange color shaded areas. That's where temperatures are above normal and will stay that way at least into Sunday. But we do start to see those temperatures approaching normal. We'll see a cold front come through, high pressure builds in, and will help to drop our temperatures a little bit, but it will also usher in some drier air, so it should feel a little bit more refreshing for us by Sunday. We'll see a high of 76, and those overnight lows start to drop back into the 50s, so that will feel nice. We continue to have a chance of some showers or isolated thunderstorms for tomorrow, and of course the tropics stay active. At the beginning of the newscast, we talked about another system that could develop in the Gulf. We also have a new tropical storm. I'll show you all that coming up.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Gas stations in western North Carolina are running out of fuel. Drivers share their concerns, plus how North Carolina is protecting consumers from price gouging.
And cell service providers are working to bring in relief for communities who've been isolated by lack of service for days. The tools they're using to help people get through to their loved ones.
Drivers in western North Carolina are on the hunt for gasoline. These long lines you see here are at stations that actually have fuel. Other stations are just completely out due to disruptions from Helene.
When you can't get gasoline, you can't go anywhere. You can't go buy nothing. Of course, there's nothing open right now, but it all depends on these gas stations. You're not going to be able to go nowhere. And it's just a scary feeling.
And North Carolina's price gouging law is in effect right now. The State Department of Justice's Consumer Protection phone line is open. That number is 877-5-NO-SCAM. Or you can visit the Department of Justice website.
T-Mobile is bringing cell service relief to western North Carolina. They've rolled out several mobile satellite trucks to Buncombe, Henderson, and Cherokee counties. The trucks provide cellular voice and data along with Wi-Fi so people can use Wi-Fi to call no matter the carrier. Verizon has deployed more than 20 mobile satellite assets to provide temporary connection to get cellular towers back working. They are mobilizing 21 more satellite units. North Carolina customers affected by Helene will have postpaid domestic call, text, and data usage waived from September 26th through October 5th. Our storm coverage continues from Asheville. WRAL's Brett Neese will bring us another live report on recovery efforts in the ravaged Buncombe county. And with spotty service, we have not been able to see the true extent of damage across western North Carolina. Now we're getting a look at how Madison County has been devastated by Helene. We hear from the mayor about how his community is responding.
Triangle businesses and churches are among the groups organizing large-scale donation drives to help those people suffering in western North Carolina. WRAL's Laura Levine spent the morning at Apex Baptist Church with a look at the truckloads of supplies going out from there.
Volunteers here at Apex Baptist Church loaded up 3 trucks this morning with cases of water just like this. Water is such a dire and critical need in western North Carolina, and that's where they're headed. So you can see them gathering here dark and early as they were loading up the trailers attached to those trucks. The church was full of supplies this morning, ready to be delivered. The lead pastor here tells me he felt called upon yesterday during his sermon to ask for water donations, and before the service ended, they became overwhelmed with that support. In a briefing Sunday, officials said hundreds of thousands of residents may not have access to water for weeks in western North Carolina due to major infrastructure damage to dozens of water plants. Lead pastor Zab Cook, who is from Florida, experienced Hurricane Michael back in 2018. He tells me he knows firsthand what these people are dealing with.
When you don't have access to clean drinking water, man, you really begin to panic. You begin to think, okay, what are we going to do? And there's so many families, they have they have no way to get out of where they are. So the need for clean drinking water and then not having the ability to get to any type of water is so tragic.
So they plan to head to Hendersonville today at a distribution site there. Then they are going to partner with the North Carolina Baptist on a mission to find other distribution sites in areas they can access safely in western North Carolina. They will make a second delivery on Thursday. Laura Levine, WRAL News in Apex.
U-Haul is offering 30 days of free self-storage for people affected by Helene. More than 400 U-Haul locations in several states, including North Carolina, are participating. Storm victims can use the storage to keep their belongings safe and dry during storm cleanup. The offer applies to U-Box portable containers, too. 10 stores across the Triangle are offering this service.
Well, you heard Elizabeth Gardner just talk about it. She was traveling back from Tennessee to the Triangle over the weekend. She's got some valuable information she is sharing for anyone planning to head to the volunteer state.
And the Carolina Hurricanes pitching in to support relief efforts in the western part of our state. How you can join and help.
25 people are confirmed dead in South Carolina as a result of Helene. This is a look at the damage in Columbia, South Carolina. In an update over the weekend, Governor Henry McMaster said many of the deaths involved fallen trees. State officials described the damage left behind as unprecedented.
You know, I travel a good bit in this job, and I've seen devastation created by war. This is right up there with it. Mother Nature bombed us pretty hard.
The governor of South Carolina says he requested emergency federal disaster relief, but it has not been approved yet.
With so many roads closed in western North Carolina and especially portions of I-40, how are you able to travel to points west and back? WRAL's Elizabeth Gardner traveled back to the Triangle from Tennessee, and she shows us what she learned.
I'm driving down I-40 toward Asheville in Tennessee. We visited our daughter this weekend for Parents Weekend back in Nashville. Obviously, I-40 is closed as we get closer to the North Carolina line. So we're going to go up I-81 toward Virginia and then back down I-77 toward North Carolina. And as we go, we'll take a look at what we see. Already, we just passed a few minutes ago a pickup truck full of bottled water. So here we go. We're taking I-81 instead of I-40 because it's closed as you get closer to North Carolina. Of course, I think everybody who is trying to head east on 40 is taking this route. So we'll see how much busier it is as we head north. So we have a really big backup that's showing up here on I-81 as we're moving farther to the north. So we're going to take an exit and try a back road and hope we don't run into anything closed. We caught up with Michael Whaley, who's a special agent with the Department of Agriculture in Tennessee, and he said that he was on his way to help corral some livestock that might be out during the flooding.
We're just here and we do whatever helps the community. So we've been in bird flus and wildfires, and now we're going for floods. So,
busy job.
yeah. You never know till you get there. So we're here till they don't need us anymore.
So that's the Nolichucky River down there, took out this bridge here in Greenville, Tennessee. After the backup, we're back on 81 and headed into Virginia. After a lot of bumper-to-bumper traffic, we finally make it to 77. We're headed south now toward North Carolina. We'll hit Winston-Salem and take I-40 back to the Triangle. On our route from Tennessee to North Carolina, we didn't run into any power outages. We didn't see any lines or outages at any gas stations anywhere. It was pretty busy out there on the roads, but if you have to get from North Carolina to Tennessee, that northerly route through Virginia is good to go.
Elizabeth and I have actually talked about this route headed to similar family weekends for kids, and it is a less mountainous route that way as well, right, Elizabeth?
It is, and you know, all of this is about the rivers. You know, anything that's beside a river is where we saw so much destruction. And if you're not beside the river, there were a lot of trees down, but obviously all the flooding is beside the river. So I-40 past Asheville to the Tennessee line follows the Pigeon River, you know, with the steep mountains on either side. And so, boy, you put all that.
Wrap things up for you this noon with a look at the top headlines related to Helene's impact, as well as stories we are following for you today.
At least 39 deaths in North Carolina are linked to Helene. The majority of those are in Buncombe County, where Asheville is. The Buncombe County manager says they've received more than 1,000 missing person reports. Without cell service, many people still have not been able to reach family or friends.
And power crews are working hard to get electricity back to the entire Appalachian region. Duke Energy is one provider for people in western North Carolina. Their website says they hope to have all power restored for their customers by Friday. Right now, 455,000 power outages are reported statewide.
Getting water, food, and other critical supplies to western North Carolina is difficult. The National Guard continues to make airdrops. Nearly 400 roads are still closed, and I-40 is closed from Hickory West. The DOT still says all roads in western North Carolina are considered closed.
Carolina Hurricanes are stepping up to support relief efforts in western North Carolina. This is so great to see in our community. Hurricane President Doug Worf announced all ticket revenue from Wednesday night's exhibition game against the Nashville Predators will go directly toward hurricane relief. The game is at the Lenovo Center with general admission tickets available for just $10. Parking will be free, and fans can also contribute through concession sales. So get in there and get yourself something to eat and drink, and there's a silent auction as well.
Cell phone service is still out in parts of western North Carolina after Helene hit the town. Today on WRAL News at 4, WRAL's Sean Gallagher looks into how this happened and why there wasn't any power or generators that worked in this devastating situation. We also have WRAL's Eric Miller, who will be reporting on the Asheville area, and meteorologist Chris Michaels is also headed to western North Carolina. He'll be reporting from the Boone area to let us know what the situation is like there.
I was just thinking about the hurricanes and giving back to the community and helping to fundraise for them. Carolina Panthers owner David Tepper, also he and his wife sent $3 million toward hurricane relief out of this for Helene, so for both South and North Carolina. So.
And remember, on WRAL.com, you'll find a list of links that you can help the folks in western North Carolina. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL, your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Have a great day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.